Hello everyone, today I'll be reviewing Mrs. Miniver. So Mrs. Miniver came out in 1942 and was directed by Wyler, and this film focuses on this middle class English family during World War II. So the main character, Mrs. Miniver, she's played by Greer Garson, and she's a fairly ordinary middle class English woman living in this small town just outside London, and she's a family. Her husband is played by Pidgeon, and she has 3 children. And at the start of the film, things seem fairly ordinary in their everyday lives. We get introduced to these characters, we see what they do. All of a sudden, World War II breaks out, and well, this essentially changes this family's lives, and it changes what they're doing, and we really see how this war is affecting the lives of this family. So the older son in the family, Vince, he joins the RAF, the Royal Air Force, and is sent off to take part in the war in combat. The husband, he takes part in the evacuation at Dunkirk, which means that Mrs. Miniver, she's left at home looking after the 2 younger kids. We really get some interesting scenes in this film. There's a few really memorable scenes. I think one of the most memorable scenes in the film is when a German paratrooper lands in a garden, and he breaks into the house when Mrs. Miniver is at home, and Mrs. Miniver, she sort of doesn't know how to deal with this at first. She's obviously very shocked and very scared, but she finds a way to deal with it. And it's such a clever scene because it's a scene which really breaks up the rest of the film, because the first half of the film I thought was very calm and just all very regular, very like normal, I suppose. And then once the war breaks out, we get these type of scenes which almost shake us as the audience when watching it, thinking, yeah, okay, something dangerous, something spooky is happening here. We also get a fantastic scene which is a bit later when the family, they are hiding out in this bomb shelter outside the back, and we get all these noises, all these bomb noises going around. Obviously this is during the Blitz, so I hear the noises of all the airplanes going over, all the noises, and some of the bombs going off, and the bomb shelter is shaking and it's making all these noises, and it's all very loud. And actually, when I watched this film, I actually had the volume on quite loud, and you can really feel the effects of it. You really feel like you are there with the characters, and it just really makes you think about what this must have been like. It must have been absolutely terrifying. So this film was actually very successful at the Oscars. It won 6 Oscars. It won the Oscar for Best Picture, Best Director for Wyler, Best Actress for Greer Garson as Mrs. Miniver, and also Best Supporting Actress for Teresa Wright. So Teresa Wright, she plays the girlfriend and later wife of the older son, Vince. And, well, I won't necessarily go and spoil too much, but there is this fantastic speech in this film where this vicar, he delivers a speech essentially talking about how this war is not just a war of the soldiers, it is a war of the people, and how it's not just soldiers who are affected by this war, it's also just regular people in the cities, people in the factories and the farms and things like that, and just ordinary regular people are being affected by this war. And you get a real uplifting sense in this film about people coming together to support your country. And in fact, during the time that this film was made, it was sort of 1940, 1941. So originally, America actually wasn't involved in World War II. Then obviously 1941, with the bombing of Pearl Harbor. And a film like this, it actually, well, apparently actually encouraged America to help out Britain during World War II and help become the Allied forces that we remember them during World War II, and help these countries come together to fight against the Nazis. But when you're watching this film, you can certainly get that sense of what it's doing. Now, I suppose in some ways you could say this film is blatant propaganda, but you have to remember this did come out at a time when, you know, the world was at war, and obviously it was a time very different to, you know, what future generations would experience. And at this time, obviously with all these things going on in the world, this must have actually been a really nice, uplifting and inspiring film to watch. and it must have been so nice to see this film for the first time in 1942 when the world was at war. And it's a film which really gets you behind your country to support it. And yeah, the final scene, although I won't necessarily spoil it, is quite a tragic scene. The film does end quite sadly, but at the same time it is uplifting, and it just wraps the film up very well. So I think this is a film I did enjoy very much. I think I appreciated, and although it is quite a bit of a depressing film towards the end, it does have some funny moments in it. It is quite uplifting. There are a few bits of humour here and there, and yeah, Greer Garson, she really gives a fantastic performance as Mrs. Miniver. One little complaint I will say is that this is an American film, but it is obviously set in England, as you probably gathered by now, and it is quite obvious that some of the actors are American doing English accents. Now sometimes it does work and sometimes it doesn't. It's obvious some of the actors are English or were English, and yeah, you can obviously tell that works well. Although some actors obviously are American putting on English accents, and sometimes there's just a few bits of lines of dialogue here and there where it's quite noticeable and yeah, not particularly convincing. But to be honest, it didn't really bother me that much. It was just something I noticed every now and then, and it doesn't really spoil the film for me. I still think this is an absolute excellent movie, and yes, as I said, it won the Best Picture in 1942, so it was a very successful film. So overall, I'm going to give Mrs. Miniver a rating of 8 out of 10. I really recommend you check this out if you like romantic films, or if you like war films, or dramas, I suppose. This film is probably best described as a romantic war drama. Now in terms of the romance element of it, it's not too heavy on that, but you know, we get a few couples in the film, but really this film is about the drama between the characters, the interactions during this time when the world is at war. And yes, I think this film is a superb piece of filmmaking, and it does what it's trying to do extremely well, and at the same time it's a very uplifting movie. So yes, I highly recommend Mrs. Miniver. So there we go guys, so that is my review of Mrs. Miniver. So what do you guys think? Have you seen Mrs. Miniver? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Please let me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section below. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you all in the next video. Take care.